The silver ship came down from the sky on a Tuesday morning. It was bigger than any building in the military base. The soldiers stopped their training and looked up. Some of them had never seen an alien ship before. Others had seen many. But nobody had seen one like this. General Park stood at the front of the base with his best fighters behind him. He was an old man with gray hair and many medals on his chest. He had fought in 3 wars. He had killed enemies that most people could not even imagine. But today, his hands were shaking a little. The ship landed without making any sound. A door opened and bright light came out. Then she walked down the ramp. Princess Vila of the Empire was not like other aliens. She looked almost human, but not quite. Her skin was pale blue like the morning sky. Her eyes were large and purple, and they seemed to see everything at once. Her hair was white and long, falling down her back like a river of snow. She wore armor made of something that looked like liquid metal. It moved with her body like water. Behind her walked 4 guards. They were tall and strong, carrying weapons that could destroy a tank with one shot. But everyone was looking at the princess. General Park stepped forward and bowed his head. "Princess Vila, welcome to Earth. We are honored by your visit." Vila did not smile. She did not bow. She simply looked at the general with those purple eyes and said, "I am here for the selection. Show me your fighters." The general nodded. He had been told about this. The Galactic tournament was happening in 3 months. Every species in the galaxy could send one champion. The winner would bring great honor to their planet. More importantly, the winner's planet would get a seat on the High Council. Earth needed that seat. "This way, princess," the general said. He led her to the training field where 100 of Earth's best fighters were waiting. They stood in perfect lines, their backs straight, their faces serious. These were not ordinary soldiers. These were the elite, the strongest, the fastest, the deadliest humans on the planet. Vila walked along the line slowly. She stopped in front of a huge man with arms like tree trunks. He was called, and he had won every fighting competition on Earth for the past 5 years. His record was perfect. He had never lost. The princess looked at him for a long moment. Then she moved on. She stopped again in front of a woman was smaller than the others, but she was the fastest fighter in the world. She could kill a man in 2 seconds. Her eyes were cold and empty like a shark. Vila looked at her too. Then she moved on again. One by one, the princess passed by every elite fighter. She did not speak. She did not ask questions. She just looked at them with those strange purple eyes, and then she walked away. General Park started to feel worried. "Princess, if I may ask, what exactly are you looking for?" Vila did not answer. She had reached the end of the line, but instead of stopping, she kept walking. She walked past the elite fighters, past the officers, past the support staff. She walked toward the back of the field, where a group of young soldiers were cleaning equipment. "Princess," the general called, "where are you going?" Vila did not stop. She walked until she stood in front of a young man who was cleaning a rifle. He was sitting on the ground, his back against a wall, working quietly while everyone else was watching the princess. He looked up when her shadow fell over him. His name was, he was 19 years old. He had been in the military for only 8 months. He was not elite. He was not special. He was just a regular soldier who had joined because he had nothing else to do with his life. Looked at the princess. She looked at him. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Vila said, "This one." The entire base went silent. General Park rushed over. "Princess, there must be a mistake. This boy is not one of our champions. He is just a trainee. He has not even finished his basic combat training yet." Vila turned to look at the general. "I said this one, I choose him." "But princess, he is the youngest soldier on this base. He has no experience. He has never fought in a real battle. Our elite fighters have decades of training. They have killed hundreds of enemies. This boy has killed no one." "I know," Vila said. "That is why I want him." The general's face turned red. Princess, with all respect, the Galactic Tournament is not a game. The fighters there are monsters. Some of them are bigger than buildings. Some of them have been training for hundreds of years. If we send this boy, he will die in the first round. Vila smiled for the first time. It was a small smile, but it made her face look somehow warmer. Then you do not understand what I see. What do you see? The general asked. Vila looked back at. The young man had not moved. He was still sitting on the ground, the rifle in his hands, looking up at her with confusion in his eyes. I see fire, she said. I see a star that has not yet been born. Every one of your elite fighters is a candle that is almost burned out. They have given everything they have. But this one, she reached down and touched his face with her cold fingers. This one has not even started burning yet. Finally spoke, his voice was quiet and unsure. I don't understand, why me? Vila pulled her hand back. Because you are the only one here who can win. The general opened his mouth to argue again, but Vila raised her hand to stop him. The Empire has watched the Galactic Tournament for 10,000 years. We have seen every kind of fighter. We have seen the strongest, the fastest, the most skilled. And we have learned one truth. The tournament is not won by the best fighter. It is won by the one who refuses to lose. She looked at the elite fighters who were watching from far away. Your veterans have seen too much death. They have felt too much pain. Part of them wants to rest. Part of them is tired of fighting. But this boy, she looked at again. He does not know how to give up yet. He does not know that he should be afraid, and that makes him more dangerous than all your veterans combined. General Park shook his head. This is madness. No, Vila said. This is the only way Earth will win. She held out her hand to, come with me, young fighter. I will train you myself. In 3 months you will stand in the arena of the gods, and you will show the galaxy what humans can really do. Looked at her hand. He looked at the general. He looked at the other soldiers who were staring at him with shock and anger and confusion. Then he took the princess's hand and stood up. Okay, he said, I will go with you. And that was how the youngest soldier on Earth became the champion of humanity. Not because he was the strongest, not because he was the fastest, but because an alien princess looked into his soul and saw something that no one else could see. A fire that was about to burn brighter than any star in the galaxy. The ship traveled through space for 7 days, spent most of that time looking out the window. He had never been in space before. He had never even been on an airplane before joining the military. Now he was flying past planets and stars and things he could not even name. Vila watched him from across the room. She did not speak much. She just observed him like a scientist watching an experiment. On the 3rd day, finally asked, why did you really choose me? Vila put down the book she was reading. It was written in a language could not understand. I told you, I can see things that others cannot. That is not a real answer. The princess smiled. You are smarter than you look. People keep saying that. I am not sure if it is a compliment. Vila stood up and walked to the window. She stood next to and looked at the stars. My people have a gift. We can sense the life force of other beings. It is like seeing the light inside someone's soul. And what did you see in me? Most beings have a small light, like a candle. Some have bigger lights, like a torch. Your elite fighters, they had torches, but they were torches that had been burning for too long. The fire was dying. She turned to look at. But you are different. Your light is not a candle or a torch. It is a sun that has not yet been born. It is compressed inside you, waiting to explode. Did not know what to say. He had never felt special. He had grown up in a small town with no parents and no money. He had joined the military because it was the only choice he had. He had never won anything in his life. I think you made a mistake, he said. I do not make mistakes, Vila replied. Not about this. The ship arrived at the tournament planet on the 7th day. It was called Nora, and it was the largest artificial structure in the galaxy. The entire planet had been built by machines thousands of years ago. It existed only for the tournament. When stepped off the ship, his legs almost gave out. The gravity was different here. The air smelled strange, and everywhere he looked there were aliens. Some of them were tall and thin, with long arms and no faces. Some of them were short and wide, with skin like rock. Some of them floated in the air without any legs at all. Some of them had so many eyes that could not count them. Some of them were so beautiful that it hurt to look at them. Some of them were so ugly that had to look away. And all of them were staring at him. "Is that the human champion?" someone asked loudly. The voice came from a creature that looked like a bear made of metal. "He is so small, I could crush him with one hand." Laughter spread through the crowd. "Look at him, he is just a child," another voice said. This one came from a being made of blue fire. "The humans must be giving up. They sent their weakest to die." More laughter. Vila stepped in front of. Her face was cold and hard. "The Empire has chosen this human as Earth's champion. Anyone who insults him insults me." The laughter stopped for a moment. The Empire was powerful. Nobody wanted to make them angry. But then a new voice spoke. It was deep and heavy, like thunder from a mountain. "The princess has made a mistake." The crowd moved apart to let someone through. Felt his heart stop when he saw who it was. The creature was huge. It was at least 3 meters tall and just as wide. Its body was covered in thick gray skin that looked like armor. Its arms were longer than its entire body. Its hands had claws that looked like swords. Its face had no nose, just 2 small holes. But its eyes were the worst part. They were red and hungry, like the eyes of a predator looking at prey. "I am," the creature said, "champion of the Empire. I have won the last 4 tournaments. I have killed 112 champions from other worlds." He walked closer too. Each step made the ground shake. "And now I will add a human to my collection." Wanted to run. Every part of his body was screaming at him to escape. This thing could kill him by accident. It could step on him like a bug. But he did not run. He did not move. He just stood there and looked up at the monster. "You do not even show fear," said. "Is it because you are brave, or because you are too stupid to understand that you are going to die?" His mouth was dry. His heart was beating so fast that he could hear it in his ears, but somehow he managed to speak. "I am not stupid," he said. "I know you can kill me. I know you are bigger and stronger and more experienced. I know that I am probably going to die in this tournament." He took a step forward. His legs were shaking, but he did not stop. "But I also know that I am not going to give up. I am not going to run away. And I am not going to let you or anyone else tell me what I can and cannot do." The crowd went silent again, even seemed surprised. "You have spirit," the monster said. "Good, it will make killing you more interesting." He turned and walked away. The crowd followed him, still laughing and pointing at. When they were finally alone, Vila put her hand on his shoulder. "That was brave." "That was stupid," said. His legs finally gave out and he sat down on the ground. "I almost wet myself." Vila laughed. It was a real laugh, warm and unexpected. Being brave does not mean you are not afraid. It means you do what needs to be done even when you are afraid. Is that another thing your people can see? No, that is just something I have learned from watching humans. Looked up at her. You have watched humans before. Many times. Your species is young and weak compared to most others in the galaxy. But there is something about you that the other species do not have. What is that? Vila sat down next to him. For the first time, she did not look like a princess. She looked like a normal person, tired and worried. "You do not know your limits," she said. "Other species learn what they can and cannot do. They accept their place in the universe. But humans, you refuse to accept anything. You keep pushing and fighting and struggling even when it is impossible, even when everyone tells you to stop." She looked at the stars above them. "That is why I chose you, not because you are strong, but because you do not know how to give up." Thought about this for a long time. He thought about his life. He thought about all the times people had told him he could not do something. He thought about all the times he had failed. But he also thought about all the times he had gotten back up. "Okay," he said finally, "so what do we do now?" Vila smiled and stood up. She held out her hand to help him up. "Now," she said, "we train. The first trial is in 1 week, and we have a lot of work to do." Took her hand and stood up. His legs were still shaking. His heart was still beating too fast, but somewhere deep inside him, something was starting to burn. It was small, like a tiny spark in the darkness. But it was there. And it was growing. The week passed faster than expected. Every day, Vila trained him from morning until night. She did not teach him how to fight. She said he already knew how to fight. Instead, she taught him how to survive. "The tournament is not about killing your enemy," she told him on the first day. "It is about outlasting them. Every fighter here has trained for decades. Some have trained for centuries. You cannot beat them with skill, but you can beat them with patience." She taught him how to read his enemies, how to watch their movements and find their weaknesses, how to make them angry and make mistakes, how to use the arena itself as a weapon. On the last night before the first trial, could not sleep. He lay in his bed and stared at the ceiling. His body was exhausted, but his mind would not stop running. Vila came to his room and sat on the edge of his bed. "You are thinking too much," she said. "I am thinking about dying." Everyone thinks about dying before their first fight. It is normal. Turned to look at her. In the dim light, her blue skin looked almost silver. Her purple eyes were soft and gentle. "Are you not worried?" he asked. "If I lose, it will make you look bad. You chose me. If I die in the first round, everyone will laugh at you." Vila smiled. "Let them laugh. I know what I saw in you." "What if you were wrong?" "I was not wrong." "How can you be so sure?" Vila was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Because I have been watching humans for a long time, and I have never been wrong about them." The next morning, the arena was full. Millions of beings had come from across the galaxy to watch the tournament. The arena itself was massive. It was like a small city made of stone and metal, with platforms and obstacles and traps everywhere. Stood at one end of the arena, his opponent stood at the other end. It was not. The champion was saved for the later rounds, but the creature facing was terrifying enough. It was like a giant spider with the upper body of a man. It had 8 legs, each one ending in a sharp point. Its human-like torso had 4 arms, each one holding a different weapon. Its face was almost handsome, but its mouth opened sideways instead of up and down, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "I am the said." His voice was smooth and calm. "I have been fighting in this tournament for 60 years. I have never lost a first-round match." Did not respond, he just watched. He remembered what Vila had taught him. Watch, wait, find the weakness. A loud horn sounded across the arena. The fight had begun. Moved first. He ran toward with incredible speed, his 8 legs carrying him across the ground like water flowing downhill. His 4 weapons swung through the air, creating a wall of death that seemed impossible to dodge. Ran. The crowd laughed. They thought he was running away, but was not running away. He was running toward a platform at the edge of the arena. It was narrow, only wide enough for one person to stand on. Followed him. There was faster, and it reached the platform just as was climbing up. One of its swords swung towards back. Jumped to the side. The sword hit the platform instead, sending sparks flying. Landed on another platform, then jumped to another one, then another one. Tried to follow, but his body was too big. His 8 legs were perfect for running on the ground, but they were clumsy on the narrow platforms. He kept slipping and losing his balance. "Stop running," shouted. "Face me like a warrior." did not answer. He kept jumping from platform to platform, always staying just out of reach. Every time got close, would jump to a new platform. Every time swung his weapons, was already gone. The crowd stopped laughing. They started to watch more carefully. This went on for almost an hour. Was getting tired. His movements were slower now. His breathing was heavy. His 8 legs were shaking from the effort of climbing and jumping. But was also tired. His body was screaming at him to stop. His muscles were burning. His lungs felt like they were on fire. But he did not stop. He could not stop. If he stopped, he would die. Then made a mistake. The jump to a platform that was too small for his body. His front legs landed safely, but his back legs missed the edge. For just a moment, he lost his balance. That moment was enough. Moved faster than he had ever moved before. He jumped from his platform and landed on his back. Before the could react, grabbed one of his own weapons from his hand and pushed it through the creature's neck. Made a choking sound. His body went stiff. Then it fell off the platform and crashed to the ground below. The arena was silent. Stood on the platform, breathing hard, covered in alien blood. He looked at the weapon in his hand. He looked at the body below him. He looked at the millions of beings staring at him with shock in their eyes. Then the silence broke, and the sound that replaced it was something had never heard before. It was cheering. Not everyone was cheering. Many aliens were still angry and confused, but some of them, enough of them, were cheering for him. They had watched a small human boy defeat a monster that had been fighting for 60 years. They had seen something impossible happen. Climbed down from the platform. His legs were shaking so badly that he could barely walk, but he forced himself to stand straight. He forced himself to walk with his head held high. When he reached the edge of the arena, Vila was waiting for him. She was smiling, but there were tears in her purple eyes. "You did it," she said. Tried to smile back, but his face would not cooperate. "I almost died." "But you did not die. That is what matters." She put her arm around him and helped him walk back to their quarters. Behind them, the crowd was still making noise. Some were cheering. Some were arguing. Some were demanding explanations. But did not care about any of that. He just wanted to sleep. Before he closed his eyes, he heard Vila whisper something. "Now the galaxy knows your name. Now they know what humans can do." Thought about this as he fell asleep. He thought about the fight. He thought about the fear. He thought about the moment when he had pushed the weapon through his neck. He had killed someone. For the first time in his life, he had taken a life. He expected to feel guilty. He expected to feel sick, but all he felt was tired. And somewhere deep inside him, he felt that fire burning a little brighter. He was changing. He could feel it. The boy who had left Earth 8 days ago was already gone. Someone new was taking his place. And that new person was ready for whatever came next. 3 more fights came after the first. 3 more enemies fell before. The second fight was against a creature made of living crystal. It was beautiful and deadly, able to shoot shards of itself like bullets. Won by tricking it into a pool of acid that melted its body from the inside. The third fight was against twin warriors from a planet of ice. They moved together like a single being, attacking from 2 directions at once. Won by setting a trap that separated them, then defeating them one at a time. The fourth fight was against something that had no shape. It was like living smoke that could become solid at any moment. Won by setting the arena on fire and forcing it to become solid to survive, then cutting it down while it was weak. Each victory made more famous. Each victory made the other champions more afraid. But also, each victory made more tired. He was not sleeping well. He was not eating well. The fire inside him was burning brighter, but it was also burning him from the inside. After the fourth fight, Vila found him sitting alone in his room. He was staring at his hands. They were covered in small cuts and burns and bruises. "You are hurt," she said. I am always hurt. She sat down next to him. You have done amazing things. Nobody expected you to survive this long. The whole galaxy is talking about the human champion. I know, did not look up, but that is not what I am thinking about. What are you thinking about? He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I have killed 4 beings, 4 people. They had lives, they had families, they had dreams, and I ended all of that. Vila did not say anything. She just waited. When I killed the first one, I felt nothing, continued. I was too tired to feel anything, but now I feel everything. I see their faces when I close my eyes. I hear their voices when it is quiet. He finally looked at Vila. His eyes were red and tired. Is this what being a warrior means? Killing people and then living with their ghosts? Vila took his hands in hers. Her fingers were cold but somehow comforting. Yes, she said simply, that is exactly what it means. How do you live with it? You do not. You carry it with you always. But you do not let it destroy you. You let it make you stronger. Shook his head. I do not understand. Vila stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the artificial stars of Nora were shining. Do you want to know why I really chose you? She asked. Looked up. You said it was because of my life force, because I burn like a sun. That is true, but it is not the whole truth. She turned to face him. I have been coming to this tournament for 300 years. I have seen thousands of champions, and I have learned something about the ones who win. She walked back to and knelt down in front of him, so their eyes were at the same level. The winners are not the strongest. They are not the fastest. They are not even the winners are the ones who have something to fight for, something bigger than themselves. I do not have anything like that, said. I am just a boy with no family and no future. I have nothing. That is not true. Vila touched his chest, right over his heart. You have the pain of being alone. You have the hunger of wanting to be something. You have the anger of being forgotten by everyone. She smiled sadly. I know these feelings, I have them too. Stared at her. You are a princess, you have everything. I have power, I have wealth, I have responsibility, but I do not have freedom, I do not have choice. I was born to serve my empire and I will die serving my empire. My life is not my own. Her purple eyes were shining with tears that she would not let fall. That is why I chose you, because when I looked at you, I saw myself. I saw someone trapped by circumstances, someone fighting just to exist, someone who refuses to accept the life they were given. She stood up again. Your elite fighters, they were all the same. They had achieved everything they wanted. They had no more hunger, no more fire, but you are still hungry. You are still burning. And that hunger, that fire, it is the most powerful weapon in the universe. Sat in silence for a long time. He thought about everything she had said. He thought about his life. He thought about the choices he had made. Finally, he asked, what happens after this tournament? If I win, what happens to me? Vila looked away. You will be famous. Your planet will get a seat on the High Council. You will be a hero. And what about you? She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I will go back to my duties. I will continue to serve my empire. Nothing will change for me. That does not seem fair. Vila laughed softly. Life is not fair. That is one of the first things you learn when you live for 300 years. Stood up, his body was still tired. His mind was still heavy, but something had changed inside him. Then I will change it, he said. Vila looked at him with surprise. What do you mean? I do not know yet, but I will find a way. You saved me. You believed in me when nobody else did. I will not forget that. He held out his hand to her. Whatever happens tomorrow in the final fight, I want you to know something. You were right about me. I do not know how to give up, and I will not give up on you either. Vila looked at his hand. For a moment she seemed uncertain. She was a princess after all. Princesses did not hold hands with common soldiers. But then she took his hand, and she smiled. It was a real smile full of warmth and hope. "The final fight is tomorrow," she said. "Is waiting for you. He has been watching all your fights. He knows your tricks now." Nodded, "I know. He is the strongest champion in the galaxy. He has never lost." "I know. You might die." Squeezed her hand. "I know, but I have something to fight for now, something bigger than myself." He looked into her purple eyes. "I am going to win, and then I am going to change everything, for both of us." Vila stared at him. In 300 years of life, nobody had ever made her a promise like that. Nobody had ever looked at her like that. "You really are different," she whispered. "You really are like a son." "Maybe," said, "or maybe I am just too stupid to know when I should give up." He smiled. It was the first real smile since he had left Earth. "Now let me rest. Tomorrow I have to fight a monster." The final day arrived with a red sunrise. The artificial sun of Nora turned the sky the color of blood, as if the planet itself knew what was coming. Stood at the entrance of the arena, looking at the millions of beings who had come to watch. They were everywhere. On the ground, in the air, floating on platforms of light. Every species in the galaxy was represented. This was the biggest event of the decade. And he, a 19-year-old human from a small planet, was one of the two final fighters. On the other side of the arena was waiting. The champion looked even bigger than before. His gray skin had been polished until it shone like metal. His red eyes were fixed on with hunger that could not be hidden. "So you survived," his voice boomed across the arena. "I am impressed, but your luck ends today." Did not respond. He was saving his energy. He was going to need all of it. The horn sounded. The fight began. Charged, the ground shook with each step. His massive body moved faster than something that size should be able to move. His claws cut through the air like swords. Dodged, he had learned from his previous fights. He knew he could not block an attack from that was too strong. One hit would break every bone in his body. So he dodged, again and again, left and right, up and down. He moved through the arena like a shadow, always one step ahead of death. But was not stupid. He had watched all of his fights. He knew the human's tricks. When tried to climb to the high platforms, destroyed them with one swing of his arm. The stone and metal fell like rain. When tried to set traps, smashed through them like they were paper. When tried to tire him out, just laughed. They had been fighting for 200 years. He could fight for days without resting. After 30 minutes was bleeding. A claw had caught his shoulder. Another had torn his leg. He was leaving a trail of red blood wherever he went. The crowd was silent. They knew how this would end. The human had fought well, but the difference in power was too great. Vila was watching from her special seat. Her hands were shaking. Her purple eyes were filled with fear. "Get up," she whispered. "Please get up." Was on his knees, breathing hard. His body was failing. His vision was blurry. He could hear walking toward him slowly. "You were interesting," said. "I will remember you. You will be the 113th champion I have killed." Closed his eyes. He thought about his life. He thought about all the pain and loneliness. He thought about how far he had come from that small town on Earth. Then he thought about Vila. He thought about her sad smile. He thought about her cold hands. He thought about the promise he had made. Something inside him clicked. The fire that had been burning since he left Earth suddenly exploded. It was like a bomb going off inside his chest. Energy flooded through his body. The pain disappeared. The exhaustion disappeared. Everything disappeared except one simple thought. He was not going to lose. Opened his eyes, and for the first time since the fight began, he attacked. He moved so fast that nobody could see him clearly. One moment he was on his knees. The next moment he was behind, striking the back of the monster's leg. Roared and turned around, but was already gone. He was on the other side now, striking another leg. The swung his arms wildly, but he could not hit what he could not catch. was everywhere and nowhere at once. He was a ghost. He was a shadow. He was the wind. Strike after strike after strike. Each one was small. Each one did almost no damage, but they added up. The cuts on's legs grew deeper. The monster started to slow down. "What is this?" screamed. "What are you?" Did not answer. He did not have energy to spare for words. Every bit of his strength was going into his movements. The fight continued for another hour, was getting desperate now. His attacks were wild and unfocused. He was in pain. He was confused. He had never faced an enemy like this. And then finally made a mistake. He swung both his arms at once, putting all his strength into one massive attack. If it hit, it would kill instantly. But it did not hit. Ducked under the arms and came up directly in front of his chest. For one frozen moment they were face to face, human and monster, boy and giant. Drove his knife into his heart. It should not have worked. Skin was harder than steel, but fire was not just energy. It was will. It was determination. It was the refusal to give up. And it was stronger than any armor. His eyes went wide. He tried to speak, but no words came out. His massive body swayed once, twice, and then fell backward. The crash was so loud that it echoed across the entire arena. Silence. Complete and total silence. Then Vila screamed. But it was not a scream of fear. It was a scream of joy. She ran down from her seat and into the arena. She did not care about protocol. She did not care about rules. She just ran. Was still standing over his body. His body was covered in blood, both his own and the monster's. His eyes were unfocused. He could barely stand. But when he saw Vila running toward him, he smiled. She reached him just as his legs gave out. She caught him before he could fall and held him in her arms. "You did it," she said. Tears were running down her blue cheeks. "You actually did it." "I promised," whispered. "I do not break my promises." The crowd had started cheering now. The sound was deafening. Beings of every species were on their feet, celebrating the impossible victory they had just witnessed. But Vila was not done yet. She stood up, holding in her arms. She looked at the millions of beings watching her. She looked at the cameras that were broadcasting this moment to every corner of the galaxy. And then she did something that no princess had ever done before. She knelt. A princess of the Empire knelt before a human boy from a small planet called Earth. "I claim this champion as my own," she said. Her voice was clear and strong, amplified by the arena's system so that everyone could hear. "Not as a servant, not as a soldier, but as my equal. From this day forward his victories are my victories. His defeats are my defeats. His life is my life." The crowd gasped. This was unheard of. A princess claiming an outsider as her equal was against every tradition of the empire. But Vila did not care. She had spent 300 years following rules, 300 years doing what was expected, 300 years being a princess. Now she was going to be herself. Looked up at her. His eyes were barely open, but he was smiling. "I thought I was supposed to change things for you," he said weakly, "not the other way around." Vila smiled back. "We will change things together. That is what equals do." She helped him stand up. Together they faced the crowd. Together they faced the galaxy. "Humans," Vila said loudly, "remember this day. Remember what you saw. A boy from your planet just defeated the strongest champion in the galaxy. He did it not because he was powerful. He did it because he refused to give up." She raised her hand in the air. "This is the spirit of humanity. This is what makes your species special. You do not know your limits. You do not accept what you are told. You fight until the end, and then you fight some more." She looked at with those purple eyes full of love and respect. Today, a new era begins. Today, the galaxy learns what humans can really do. The cheering grew louder and louder. It was a sound that would echo through history, a sound that would be remembered for thousands of years. The story of the youngest human fighter who defeated the strongest champion in the galaxy. The story of the alien princess who claimed him as her own. The story of two people who refused to accept the lives they were given. And as stood there, held up by the woman who believed in him when nobody else did, he finally understood what she had seen in him all along. Not a boy, not a soldier, not even a champion. A fire. A sun that had finally been born. And it was only just beginning to shine.